Welcome to the CareClinic Pod. I'm Emma, and this is Jones.
Have you ever felt like you're stuck in quicksand? You know when you know you need to do something, but your brain just won't cooperate.
Oh, yeah.
It's not laziness.
Right.
It's like there's an invisible wall stopping you from even starting.
You've just hit on something so many people experience, that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
It's often mistaken for laziness, but it's
Yeah.
actually a matter of executive function, or in this case, a lack thereof.
So it's not just a matter of willpower. There's an actual neurological reason behind this stuck feeling.
Absolutely. Executive function is basically your brain's management system. It's responsible for all those higher level thinking skills we need to plan, organize, and execute tasks.
Right.
And when it's not functioning optimally,
Yeah.
it can feel like you're constantly fighting an uphill battle.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
But for our listeners who might be hearing this term for the first time, could you break down exactly what executive function is?
Think of it like an air traffic control tower for your brain. It helps you prioritize tasks, manage your time effectively, and regulate your emotions. It's also what allows you to switch between different tasks, filter out distractions, and resist those tempting impulses.
So it's not just about getting things done. It's about having the mental tools to navigate the complexities of everyday life.
Yeah.
It's no wonder it can feel so overwhelming when these functions aren't working properly.
Exactly. And the tricky part is it often gets mislabeled as laziness.
Right.
People with executive dysfunction might look lazy on the surface, but they're actually grappling with a very real neurological difference.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
It's not about a lack of motivation. It's about a brain that's wired differently. Can you talk more about those neurological differences?
The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control, actually develops differently in individuals with executive dysfunction. It's not that they're unwilling to do things, it's that their brains have a harder time executing those tasks.
So telling someone with executive dysfunction to just try harder is like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off.
Exactly.
It's simply not that simple.
You hit the nail on the head. And that's why understanding the difference between executive dysfunction and laziness is so important. It's not about blame or shame. It's about recognizing the unique challenges and finding strategies to work with your brain, not against it.
That's where CareClinic comes in, right? The app can be an incredibly powerful tool for anyone struggling with these executive function challenges.
Absolutely. It provides structure support and accountability, which are essential for managing executive dysfunction.
Right.
Features like the task list and routine builder can be game changers.
I'm all about those routines.
Yeah.
They create a sense of predictability and make it easier to manage those daily tasks.
Exactly. And CareClinic helps you break down those overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. It's about setting yourself up for success by working with your brain's natural tendencies, not against them.
Now, you mentioned that there are 7 key executive function skills outlined by Dr. Russell Barkley. Can you walk us through those?
Of course. The first is self-awareness, which is the ability to understand your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
So it's like having an internal mirror reflecting back on how you're operating in the world.
Precisely. Then there's inhibition, which is all about controlling your impulses and resisting distractions.
This one sounds particularly challenging, especially in today's world of constant stimulation.
It can be. And it's closely tied to the next 2 skills. Working memory, both verbal and nonverbal.
Okay.
Verbal working memory helps you remember instructions or hold information in mind while you're reading.
Like that internal voice that narrates our thoughts.
Exactly. Nonverbal working memory is more about visual and spatial information, like remembering where you parked your car or mentally navigating a map.
So working memory is like our mental workspace holding the information we need to function effectively.
Yeah.
And if that workspace is cluttered or disorganized, it can lead to all sorts of challenges.
Precisely. And that's where the next skill comes in. Emotional self-regulation.
Okay.
It's the ability to manage your emotions, especially in challenging situations.
So instead of letting your emotions hijack your thinking, you can stay grounded and make rational decisions even when things get tough.
Exactly. Now imagine trying to manage all of this while also trying to motivate yourself to get things done. That's where self-motivation comes in.
This one's huge, especially for those of us who struggle with procrastination or getting started on those less than thrilling tasks.
It can be a real struggle, and it's closely related to the final skill, planning and problem solving.
So it's about being able to think ahead, break down complex tasks into smaller steps, and find solutions to those inevitable obstacles that pop up along the way.
You got it. And here's the thing, these 7 skills actually develop in a fairly predictable order. Self-awareness comes first, then inhibition, working memory, and so on.
Interesting. So it's like building blocks with each skill, laying the foundation for the next thing. But what happens when there's a delay in that development, like we often see in ADHD?
That's where things can get really tricky. Individuals with ADHD might experience a developmental lag in these skills, meaning they're functioning at a level that's 30 to 40% behind their peers.
Wow, that's significant. It explains why certain tasks or situations that seem perfectly manageable for others can feel so overwhelming for someone with ADHD.
Exactly. It's not about laziness or lack of intelligence. It's a different developmental trajectory.
Right.
And that's why it's so crucial to have tools and strategies that support those specific challenges.
And that's where CareClinic comes in again. Download the app and explore how its features can help you manage these executive function challenges.
Absolutely. Whether it's creating personalized task lists, building routines, or setting reminders, CareClinic can be your digital sidekick in this journey towards better executive function.
So while we've been diving deep into the challenges, I want to make sure we highlight the incredible strengths that often accompany executive dysfunction.
Yes. People with executive dysfunction are often incredibly creative outside-the-box thinkers. They can be incredibly empathetic and compassionate, and they might excel in areas that require flexibility and adaptability.
It's all about recognizing that unique blend of strengths and challenges and finding ways to leverage those strengths while addressing those challenges effectively. We'll be back after a short break to explore some specific strategies and real-world applications of these concepts, so stay tuned.
Sounds good. Welcome back. We've been exploring the complexities of executive function and how it can feel like you're navigating life without a GPS.
It's definitely a journey. And before the break, we were discussing how executive function is often mislabeled as laziness, when in reality it's a neurological difference that impacts how our brains operate.
Right. And it's important to understand that executive function isn't just one monolithic thing. It's a collection of skills that we can develop and strengthen over time.
And you mentioned those 7 key skills outlined by Dr. Russell Barkley. Let's dig into those a bit more, because I think understanding those individual components can be really helpful in figuring out our own personal strengths and challenges.
Absolutely. Each of these skills plays a crucial role in how we manage our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It's like a team working together to help you navigate life effectively.
Okay, so let's start with self-awareness. Why is this skill so foundational?
Self-awareness is like having a mirror that reflects back your thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's the ability to recognize your own patterns, your strengths, and your areas for improvement.
It's like having an internal observer who can provide insights into your own behavior. Without that awareness, it's difficult to make any meaningful changes.
Exactly. It's the first step towards taking control of your executive function. Now imagine pairing that self-awareness with the ability to regulate your impulses. That's where inhibition comes in.
This is the one that always gets me. It's like my brain has a mind of its own sometimes, especially when it comes to distractions or those tempting impulses.
It's a common struggle, and it can manifest in different ways, whether it's interrupting others during conversations, struggling to stay focused on a task, or giving in to those cravings that derail your healthy eating plan.
So it's about having that internal pause button that allows you to think before you act.
Precisely. Now combine that ability to pause with a strong working memory, and you've got a powerful combination.
Working memory, that's our brain's temporary storage system, right?
Right. It's like your mental workspace where you hold information while you're working with it.
Right.
It's what allows you to follow instructions, remember appointments, and juggle multiple tasks at once.
You know, I've always struggled with remembering verbal instructions. I need things written down or I'll forget them almost instantly. Is that related to working memory?
It very well could be. Verbal working memory is that inner voice that helps you rehearse information, hold on to those instructions, or process language as you're reading. If that aspect of working memory is weaker, it can definitely impact your ability to retain verbal information.
It makes so much sense. It's like my inner voice just can't hold on to those words long enough for them to stick.
And then there's nonverbal working memory, which is more about visual and spatial information. It's what helps you remember where you left your keys, navigate a new route, or visualize a project you're working on.
So it's like that mental map we create in our minds to make sense of the world around us.
Exactly. Now imagine trying to manage all of this mental juggling while also navigating the roller coaster of emotions. That's where emotional self-regulation comes in.
This one feels particularly relevant these days with so much uncertainty and stress in the world. It's easy to let our emotions hijack our thinking and behavior.
Absolutely. Emotional self-regulation is the ability to manage those feelings even in challenging or stressful situations. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about being aware of them, understanding their impact, and choosing how you respond to them.
So instead of reacting impulsively based on those emotions, you can take a step back, assess the situation, and make a more conscious choice.
Exactly. And this skill is crucial for maintaining focus, making sound decisions, and building healthy relationships. Now, combine that emotional intelligence with a healthy dose of self-motivation, and you're really cooking with gas.
Self-motivation. This is the one I struggle with the most, especially when it comes to those tasks that feel daunting or boring.
It's a common challenge. Self-motivation is the internal drive to get things done even when you don't feel like it. It's about setting goals, finding meaning in your work, and pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone.
It's like having that internal cheerleader who keeps you going even when you want to throw in the towel.
Exactly. And finally, we have planning and problem solving. This is the skill that allows you to break down those big goals into smaller steps, anticipate potential obstacles, and find creative solutions to challenges.
So it's about having that strategic mindset that allows you to navigate the complexities of life effectively.
You got it. And here's the fascinating part. These 7 skills don't develop in isolation. They build upon each other, with each skill laying the foundation for the next.
That makes so much sense. So if there's a delay in one area, it can have a ripple effect on the others.
Precisely. And that's why understanding those developmental stages is so crucial, especially when we're talking about conditions like ADHD, which often involve a delay in executive function development.
So instead of viewing those struggles as personal failings, we can approach them with more compassion and understanding, knowing that it's a matter of neurological development, not laziness or lack of effort.
Exactly. And that's where tools like CareClinic can be incredibly valuable. They provide that extra layer of support and structure that can help bridge those developmental gaps and make life feel more manageable.
So for anyone listening who's feeling overwhelmed by these executive function challenges, remember, you're not alone. There are resources, available strategies that work, and an entire community of people who understand what you're going through. And CareClinic is here to help you navigate this journey.
Absolutely. Download the app and start exploring how its features can support your individual needs and goals.
Now, I know we've been focusing a lot on the challenges, but I want to make sure we highlight the incredible strengths that often come along with executive dysfunction.
Yes. Individuals with executive function challenges are often incredibly creative, outside-the-box thinkers. They can be highly empathetic and compassionate, and they might excel in areas that require flexibility and adaptability.
It's about recognizing that unique blend of strengths and challenges and finding ways to leverage those strengths while addressing those challenges effectively.
And remember, executive function isn't fixed. It's a set of skills that can be strengthened and improved with the right strategies and support.
That's encouraging to hear. So let's move on to those strategies. What are some practical things people can do to boost their executive function, especially in the context of everyday life?
One of the most effective strategies is to break down large tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. This can reduce feelings of overwhelm and make it easier to get started. Think of it as creating stepping stones towards your larger goal.
That makes sense. Instead of facing a mountain, you're tackling a series of hills.
Yeah.
And CareClinic's task list feature can be really helpful for that, right?
Absolutely. You can break down a big project into smaller tasks, set deadlines for each one, and track your progress as you go. It's a great way to stay organized and motivated.
Another powerful tool is routine building. Establishing consistent morning and evening routines can provide structure and predictability, reducing the cognitive load on your executive function.
I love that idea. Routines create a sense of order and make it easier to navigate the day. And speaking of helpful tools, CareClinic's Routine Builder is a game changer. It allows you to customize your routines, set reminders, and track your progress.
Absolutely. It's like having a personal assistant in your pocket reminding you when to switch gears or take a break. What about time management? That's a big one for me.
Time management is crucial. Employing techniques like time blocking, where you allocate specific time slots for different activities, can be incredibly helpful.
Like scheduling appointments with yourself for focused work or specific tasks. I've heard that can be really effective.
Exactly. And CareClinic's calendar and reminder system can be incredibly valuable for keeping track of these time blocks.
Organization is also essential for efficient executive function. Creating designated spaces for important items, maintaining lists, and setting regular cleanup reminders can make a huge difference. I'm a big fan of lists. And CareClinic's Notes feature is perfect for keeping track of everything from to-do lists to important documents to those random brain dumps that pop up throughout the day.
It's a great way to externalize your mental clutter and free up cognitive space.
Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked but can have a huge impact on executive function: health habits.
Absolutely. Getting enough sleep, regular exercise, and proper nutrition are essential for optimal brain function. And managing stress is crucial, as chronic stress can impair executive function.
It's all connected.
Right.
And I have to mention, CareClinic is amazing for tracking all those health metrics. You can monitor your sleep log, your exercise, even track your mood and energy levels to see how they correlate with your executive function.
It's a powerful tool for self-awareness and understanding the factors that influence your cognitive performance.
Speaking of self-awareness, let's circle back to Dr. Barkley's framework. How can we use this knowledge of the 7 skills to improve our own executive function?
That's a great question. It starts with identifying your strengths and weaknesses. Which of these 7 skills do you feel you excel at, and which areas cause you the most difficulty? Once you have a clearer picture, you can tailor your strategies accordingly.
So it's about personalized self-discovery and finding the approaches that work best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to executive function.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources available like therapy coaching support groups and even apps like CareClinic. Don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it.
That's such an important message. Seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness. And it's about making small, sustainable changes over time and celebrating your progress along the way.
I love that. It's about progress, not perfection.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored the science of executive function, debunked the myth that it's just laziness, and discovered practical strategies for improvement. But how do we actually put all of this into practice in our daily lives? That's what we'll be exploring when we return for the final part of this episode, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. We've been deep diving into the world of executive function, exploring the science behind it, debunking the myth that it's simply laziness, and uncovering practical strategies for improvement.
And now it's time to bring it all together and see how these strategies can be applied in your everyday life. Because let's face it, knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action.
Exactly. So let's start with the workplace. I think many of us can relate to feeling overwhelmed by deadlines, projects, and the constant demands of our jobs.
Absolutely. The workplace can be a breeding ground for executive function challenges. But by applying those principles we discussed, you can navigate those challenges more effectively.
Okay, so let's say you're facing a particularly daunting project with a tight deadline. Where do you even begin?
First, resist the urge to panic. Remember that feeling of overwhelm is often a sign that your executive function is struggling to keep up.
Right.
So take a deep breath and start by breaking down that massive project into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Like creating a step-by-step roadmap for tackling that project. I'm a visual person, so I find that having a visual representation of those smaller steps can really ease the anxiety.
Exactly. And that's where CareClinic's task list feature comes in handy.
Okay.
You can create a list of all those smaller tasks, prioritize them, set deadlines for each one, and even assign them to different categories. It's like having a personal project manager in your pocket.
I love that. Organization is key when it comes to managing those big projects.
Yeah.
What about time management? Any tips for those of us who struggle with procrastination or staying focused?
Time blocking is a game changer. Instead of just hoping to get things done, you actually schedule specific blocks of time in your calendar dedicated to working on those tasks.
So it's like making appointments with yourself to focus on those specific projects.
Precisely. And this is where CareClinic's calendar and reminder system can be incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
You can schedule those time blocks, set reminders, and even block out time for breaks and self-care.
Speaking of breaks, I think that's something many of us overlook, especially when we're feeling pressured to get things done. But taking those short breaks to recharge can actually boost productivity in the long run, right?
Absolutely. It's like hitting the reset button for your brain. Give yourself permission to step away from your work, even for just a few minutes, to stretch, walk around, or simply close your eyes and breathe.
And when you're back at your desk, create a distraction-free zone. Silence those notifications, let your colleagues know you need uninterrupted time, and maybe even put on some noise-canceling headphones.
Those boundaries are crucial. It's about creating an environment that supports your focus and allows you to tap into that flow state where you're truly productive.
Okay, so we've tackled the workplace. Now let's shift gears and talk about managing those everyday responsibilities, like household chores or errands. These things might seem small, but they can quickly pile up and create overwhelm.
You're right. It's easy to let those seemingly mundane tasks fall through the cracks, especially when we're juggling multiple responsibilities. But the same principles of executive function apply here as well.
So instead of letting those tasks pile up and create chaos, we should schedule them into our week, just like we schedule work appointments.
Exactly. Think of it as creating a structure for your week that incorporates both work and personal responsibilities. Maybe Monday evening is dedicated to laundry, Tuesday is grocery shopping day, and Wednesday is for tackling those household chores.
Creating a rhythm for those recurring tasks can make them feel less burdensome. It's like they become part of the routine rather than those dreaded to-dos looming over your head.
Right. And don't underestimate the power of visual cues. Maybe you have a whiteboard with your weekly schedule, or you use colorful sticky notes as reminders, whatever works for you.
And of course, CareClinic can be your digital command center for all of this. You can create personalized checklists for those recurring tasks, set reminders, and even track your progress, which can be surprisingly motivating.
It's all about finding the systems and tools that work best for you and leveraging technology to your advantage. Remember, executive function isn't about willpower. It's about finding strategies that support your brain's natural tendencies.
Now let's talk about something that can be particularly challenging for people with executive dysfunction. Social situations. I know for me personally, large gatherings or events where I have to make small talk can feel incredibly draining.
Social interactions can definitely be tricky, especially because they often involve a lot of unpredictable elements. For someone who thrives on structure and routine, that unpredictability can be overwhelming.
So what could you do if social events tend to trigger anxiety or overwhelm?
Preparation is key. Before the event, try to anticipate potential challenges. Is it a large gathering with a lot of noise and stimulation? Or maybe it's a networking event where you'll need to engage in small talk. Having a plan in place can ease anxiety and give you a sense of control.
So it's like having a mental script ready for those potentially awkward moments.
Exactly. Think about some conversation starters or topics you feel comfortable discussing. And remember, it's perfectly acceptable to take breaks. If you're feeling overwhelmed, excuse yourself for a few minutes to recharge in a quieter space.
Self-care is crucial. Don't be afraid to prioritize your well-being and set boundaries that allow you to navigate those social situations without feeling completely drained.
And don't put pressure on yourself to be the life of the party. Authentic connection is more valuable than forced extroversion.
Well said. Now let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart: achieving those personal goals and aspirations. How can we use executive function to turn those dreams into reality?
It starts with defining those goals clearly. What do you truly want to accomplish, and why is it important to you? Once you have that clarity, break down the path to achieving that goal into smaller, actionable steps.
So it's like creating a roadmap for your dreams, breaking down that big, audacious goal into smaller milestones that feel more attainable.
Exactly. And remember, setbacks are inevitable. They're part of the journey. Don't let them derail your progress. View them as opportunities to learn, adjust your approach, and come back stronger.
It's about resilience and embracing the journey, not just focusing on the destination.
And don't forget to celebrate those milestones along the way. Recognizing your progress, no matter how small, can fuel your motivation and keep you moving forward.
I love that. It's all about acknowledging those wins, big or small.
And remember, there are resources available to support you on this journey. Therapists, coaches, and support groups can provide guidance, accountability, and encouragement. And of course, CareClinic can be your digital companion, helping you track your goals, manage your time, and stay organized along the way.
Absolutely. Technology can be a powerful ally in the quest for self-improvement. So as we wrap up this episode, I just want to reiterate that executive function is not a fixed trait. It's a set of skills that can be developed and strengthened with effort, the right strategies, and the right support.
And you are not alone on this journey. There's an entire community of people who understand these challenges and are here to support you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the world of executive function. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and practical tools to help you navigate your own journey. And don't forget to download the CareClinic app. It can truly make a difference in your life.
Thanks for listening.